Hello, this is Matt Bergman, and you are listening to the Punk Rock Libertarians podcast, episode 66.
Hey, man.
Hey, Matt. How you doing?
Hey, I'm here tonight with Jared Schneiderman
That's me.
and
Dun, da, da, da.
Dun,
Status
dun,
Ned.
dun. Status Ned returns.
Dun, dun, dun,
How's that,
dun,
dude?
dun, 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 dun.
Status Ned's got no time for socks tonight.
No, I don't have time. Well, you don't have
Sock
socks
and
either.
sing.
No,
No time for socks.
Yeah,
no
dude.
time for socks.
Word.
Good.
Sweet. So, man, I'm so excited today that, like, Hillary Clinton's not going to jail. It's, like, fucking awesome.
Are you?
No, not really.
Yeah. That's,
It's a bit of a bombshell.
Are you really?
Well,
I didn't
I
think
mean-
it was shocking at all, man.
Yeah, I mean, did you ever really think she was going to go to jail? If
No.
there's anybody who's going to skate, it's going to be Hillary Clinton.
Yeah.
Yeah, I have a real hard time, as I'm sure a lot of people do.
I gotta say though, as surprised as I not am, it's just having it today. Today's like the official moment, I guess, where you find out that she's officially not going to go to jail. I'm still fucking livid.
Yeah. I mean, it's
I
not.
guess
It's
I
not
had
that
some
it's
sort of
shocking,
glimmer
but
of
it's
hope.
appalling. It's not shocking, but it's appalling. You know, it's just.
Unless you take the counter position, and that is maybe she didn't actually do anything that was actionable.
How?
That seemed to be
but the reason
what I got out of listening to
did
the
you
FBI
watch?
director.
Did you watch his video?
Yes.
I mean, dude, how the fuck would you get that out of that? What kind of crack rocks were you smoking prior to watching this video? He's like all this shit that he spends 14 minutes talking about like all the shit that she did that was illegal, and then he says, and we're not going to indict.
Yeah, the only thing that stopped him from allegedly stopped him from confirming it or whatever was that she didn't intend to do it.
Yeah,
Well,
there was no
I
intent on her
think
part
I don't think she didn't intend on giving out information to people.
Well, but that's
I'm sure she knew that what she was doing was illegal. She just didn't intend on getting caught.
Which brings to
maybe.
another
But even
point.
if she didn't intend to do what she did, and she was just really stupid, it doesn't mean that you
I
can't
don't
be
think she is
charged with
stupid.
negligent. It doesn't mean you can't be charged with the negligent behavior of letting that shit happen.
Yeah,
in
it's
the
like
first
the
place.
gross negligence. I've had friends message me who like work for the government, and it's like, yeah, like if I would have sent one receipt on my private email, I would get fired.
Yeah, I saw someone said that too.
Like if I'm having friends send it to me who actually work for the government. They're just telling me about how obvious it is that you're not supposed to do that.
Yeah.
Well, that brings up. Then do you buy his statement that he, that the FBI director maintains that there was no undue influence on him to make that decision?
Why
that?
the fuck would I buy that?
What, that he wasn't being coerced into...
Yes. Someone wasn't
He
applying.
made that claim?
He
or-
did.
I
Yeah.
mean, really, do you believe he made that decision on his own?
I don't know. I mean, at what point can you trust anybody to say anything honest? I mean, maybe he really did. Maybe that's really in fact the case.
Wow, dude, you just really believe in the magic of statism, don't you?
Well, I mean, they've been at this. They've been at this and at
Glorious
this.
mother.
They've been at this and at this and at this and at this for well over
Dude,
a
do you have a
year.
statism boner right now?
How
A
much
stoner?
Well, and there's another thing. I mean, granted, yeah, he did say yes. She was talking about classified materials, things like that were contained in her emails. And I understand his point about there being no malicious intent. She wasn't trying to be a spy. She wasn't trying to pass secrets to foreign governments or anything, at least not deliberately. The only thing that really that does bother me though is if there's no intent, why would she do that in the first place? Was it easier? Was just using your classified
there's only
email
really-
account more of a pain in the ass? Is that what it was?
Yeah, I mean, there's only three legitimate reasons I could even see being applied to the situation. Which
Oh,
would
cool.
be-
Could you list them?
What's that?
Could
I
you
will.
list them?
I'm gonna make a listicle for you and put it on BuzzFeed. Number one, she did it on purpose.
Well, she obviously did it on purpose.
Well, I mean, she did it intentionally, knowing that what she was doing.
Mm-hmm.
Which, I mean, I think is obvious, but it might not be true. Number two, she just doesn't know what the fuck she's doing. Like, she has she is technologically impaired.
I refuse to believe that.
I kind of believe. Well, I can't, and it does strain credulity to suggest that nobody else around her was like, maybe this is a bad idea, you know. I mean, so she didn't set the server up herself. It wasn't there, you know. It didn't. You know, she's not responsible for maintaining it or setting it up or administrating it or anything like that. Somebody does all that stuff for her, right? So, you know, it's not that, you know, I could see what if it's one of her staffers? It's just like, oh yeah, that's fine. You can do that. Why don't we use our server instead, and that way we can keep, you know, or maybe it's something stupid like she didn't want to give up her you know her email list. You know what I mean? You should want to lose all her contacts. What if it's something dumb like that?
Yeah, I don't know. But I think the third reason would just be like she knew what she was doing, and it was something like that, something minor.
Mm-hmm.
But I don't know, man. It's just too shady. It's too Clinton-esque.
Or, you know, they'd have to the State Department would have to vet everybody that was, you know, that she, you know, all of her contacts or something like that.
Well, apparently Julian Assange just released like a certain portion of the emails, allegedly.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah, I think he released over 1,000.
Well, I mean, the State Department, the FBI's released a bunch of them too. It's not like, you know, they're.
Yeah, but he claims that it's going to ruin her election chances or whatever. But I guess he hasn't released the full list of them.
Yeah, as far as I know,
'Cause, I mean-
I heard over 1,000. Yeah,
Yeah.
what is there, like 13,000 emails that she sent back, and then there were thousands that she deleted and that she didn't send.
Yeah, something like that.
You know, so it was pretty funny. Like Reason magazine, actually, Reason put together a video where they showed Hillary saying something a few months ago, and then they showed James Clapper reveal, or not James Clapper. What the fuck is this? This guy's name's
The
James
FBI guy?
Comey. Is
Yeah,
that his
Comey,
name?
yeah.
Comey. Yeah, the Comey. Comey don't play that. So
Comey
they
does play that apparently.
Yeah, apparently. Yeah. So they show Hillary saying one thing. This is, I guess, is a few months ago, and then they say, then they show Comey, you know, revealing the facts, which are another thing, and then it cuts back to Hillary, and then she says another mistruth and you know, another lie.
Well, you know,
And
I mean,
then,
come on, all politicians lie. I mean, they all do. It's just that she's come as close to getting caught lying about
Well, I
something
mean,
pretty major.
she's caught. She's caught. There's a Reason video like showing that she's caught.
Right.
This is her from her own mouth, you know, and then you get to hear the facts, and she's fucking lied, you know. It's, you know, Clinton actually, you know, I'm sorry, her husband Bill actually, you know, lied under oath. So, you know, I remember like all the liberals would be like, you shouldn't like impeach this guy over a blowjob, blah blah blah. It's like, no, he was going to get impeached, or he was impeached actually, for lying under oath, committing perjury.
Yeah. Which is
Well, it's not court of law perjury. It is lying to Congress. That's true. I don't know if it's as serious an offense as that. But yeah, I mean, he did get impeached.
Yep. Yeah.
So
I don't know.
Yeah,
like.
well, it's
we're
the same thing. It's, you know, the Clintons are obviously part of a crew of people who think that the rules don't apply to them, like they do to everybody else, and are perfectly willing.
But they're right; they don't apply to them.
Well, yeah, I guess that's been borne out, but in fact.
Yep. Yeah, I mean, if this doesn't prove it, well, what could possibly prove it even more? You know.
Although
She would literally have to murder somebody
Well,
on video
they
in
already
cold
did,
blood.
you know?
Well, yeah, but I mean, like,
Yeah.
a guy on the street or something, and then maybe that would get her. But
I don't know. Who knows, man?
Yeah.
So, but, you know, actually the final word on whether or not they're going to prosecute her doesn't come from the FBI. It comes from the Justice Department. All
The FBI gives the recommendation.
Yeah, they give the recommendation whether to prosecute or not. Now, the Justice Department could turn around and say, well, you know, we're not taking that recommendation. That probably won't happen.
It's not gonna happen.
Yeah.
You know, it's really a dangerous precedent that's being set by all this. You know, like Hillary Clinton can get away with all this fucked up shit. You know, it's just like, and what is the definition of tyranny rather than, you know, having the leaders aren't subjected to the same rules as the citizens? You know, so the rulers should be subject to the same rules.
Well, that's
as
the whole point of
citizens.
having rules and laws, and having a state to enforce them theoretically.
Yeah, so I mean that's why this is a dangerous precedent. Like, what's next? Like, how the fuck would you top this? This is fucking crazy, really, when you think about it.
Yeah, especially since she has no official government position. It's just that she's sort of everybody. I think people in positions of power are so terrified of the fact that Donald Trump might become president that they will get her off.
And it's like you think about Comey's speech. Like he's saying, well, this is how she broke the law. This is how she broke the law. Blah 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 blah. There's a huge laundry list, and at the end, it's like, and she won't be indicted.
Just because she didn't intend to do it that way, that's why she's getting off. How does that make any sense? I mean, like,
what, ignorance of the law is no excuse?
Yeah, ignorance of the law is no excuse.
I mean, like, if I get pulled over and, like, for drunk driving, and if I'm like, before I got in the car, I had no idea that it was against the law to drive drunk.
Right.
Yeah.
I mean, do I get off?
Or, like, even if you accidentally kill somebody, like, you're not going to get first-degree manslaughter, but at the very least, you're going to get involuntary manslaughter.
Right.
Which is going to be a certain amount of time in prison. And it's like she gets absolutely nothing. It doesn't even go to court. It doesn't even the indictment.
Really, but it is. And we'll have to see if the Justice Department, makes the indictment. They're the ones who make the indictment, not the FBI.
Right. But the FBI did the investigation. So if they're like, what are they going to go on?
Right. And I also think it's awfully odd that after pursuing it for so long too, as long as they did do it, they couldn't find something really that was actionable. I think maybe what they thought is that there was sufficient ambiguity in their case that if it did go to trial, they would likely not win. They would be able to argue or lawyer their way out of it.
Yeah, but I mean, at least let it go to trial. That's, I guess, I mean, that to me is the biggest travesty, is that it's not even worth going to trial over. I mean, there's clearly been a crime committed of some type. Like, I just don't get it. Like, there's clearly an indication that there may have been a crime committed, which is normally enough to put anybody in court.
Right.
Yet, in this case, no. It doesn't even go to court.
Again, I imagine there's a fair amount of like procedural stuff involved in it too. It's just like, the now they're calling for the prosecutor's office to drop all the charges against the people who put Freddie Gray in the van. Obviously one or more of those people was in some way responsible for him, because he wasn't dead when he got in the van.
Right. Yeah, I mean, that's
whether it was through negligence or a deliberate act. Somebody it didn't just.
He didn't throw himself into the van.
Yeah, didn't throw himself into the van. He didn't throw himself around in the van. He didn't break his own neck. That's and yet they're all being exonerated, one by one.
Yeah, and it seems like everyone's quiet about it. Like, there haven't been any more rioting or.
I think maybe people are just like, oh well, then we knew they were going to get off, knew they weren't going to get convicted. I don't want to burn down my neighborhood again. That didn't solve anything the first time.
Yeah. Hey, by the way, Status Ned, dude, did you want to hit the kiddie bowl? I got it all packed up.
No, thank you.
Are you sure, dude? You don't want to hit the kiddie bowl?
Don't want to hit the kiddie bowl. I'm going to taint tap you later.
Wait, what'd you say?
The kiddie bowl?
Yeah, what'd you say? Did you say what is the kiddie bowl?
No.
Let it go.
That's what you said. No, dude, let's talk about this, dude.
No, let's not talk about that. There are serious issues afoot in the world. And you
this is a fucking serious issue, dude. We want to talk about the kiddie bowl, dude.
This is the lamest of all issues.
Okay, this might be a tad bit embarrassing for Status Ned. But, dude, do you know how, like, when you pass some people the bowl, right? And it could be like a fresh pack bowl. Mm-hmm. And then you get it back and like the whole thing's fucking charred.
Yeah.
Yeah, and you're like just like fucking moron, dude. So like, so anyways, like, So like I've noticed.
So, like,
that,
what,
I've
like-
noticed that this has been the case many a times with Status Ned. Like I pass him the bowl, and I come back, and it's like just fucking charred, dude. It's fucking it's done with on the top, and you know, whereas like etiquette is like just smoke like a portion, just cut it at a corner and then pass it, and you try to keep the green as it goes around because as soon as you take that layer of green off the top and it's all black, it starts to taste like shit.
Well, you can flip it around though. It's just kind of a pain in the ass.
Oh, but I mean, I'm just saying, like, you are familiar with just laying
Yeah, I
a
know what you're
portion of
saying.
the bowl, dude.
Yeah.
So, anyways, dude, I was talking to my buddy about it the other day, and he was like, "Man, I just wouldn't let him smoke on my bowl." And I'm like, "Dude, that's a good idea, dude." Because it's like, seriously, like,
Who put you up to this?
my buddy Cole. Yeah, man, because it's basically like, why should I have to taste all this char, dude? Like a huge bowl. Because dude, this bubbler's fucking huge, dude. So why should I have to smoke all that nasty char, dude? Like again and again and again when I keep telling him to just light a portion. I'm trying to educate him on this. So anyways,
so you did tell him about it, and he continued.
oh yeah,
No, I did not.
No,
that is not so.
Ned, I've smoked pot with you for years, dude. This is a reoccurring
This is the
thing,
first
dude.
time this has ever come
This
up.
is a reoccurring thing,
Very
dude.
first time has ever come up.
Dude, you have no MJ etiquette at all.
All right, so your solution to the problem was give him his
Was-
own little baby bowl.
You had to put Ned on the kiddie bowl, dude. So
Like, sit at the kiddie table.
Exactly, dude. I've got the smallest bowl in the house, dude, and then Ned can have this all to himself. If he wants to char off the first layer, if he wants to char off the whole bowl in the first hit and have it taste like shit for the next 5, that's all on him, dude. But I don't have to smoke that anymore, dude. and there's still free weed at the kiddie bowl,
You're
dude. Dude,
ridiculous.
I'm still hospitable
You're
to you,
absolutely
dude.
ridiculous.
There's still free weed
And
at the kiddie
you know
bowl,
why
dude.
this is bullshit? Because this is not what went on last night.
Dude, I'm
he
still
teased
being
me
nice,
about it
dude.
mercilessly, and so I had to taint tap him a couple of times.
Ooh, ouch.
Yeah, dude. Ned kept like
I
trying
missed
to
the
poach
taint
me in the
tapping
nuts,
party.
man. Like, dude, and all because like, okay, what? You don't like the free weed, dude?
And then he's like, "Oh, fine, you can smoke out. You can smoke out of the bubbler again."
And
it's perfectly
then I
fine.
pulled it back, and I was like, "Psych!" I was like, "Psych, bitch!"
What'd you guys do for? You guys just hang out for the 4th?
Yeah, dude, we were just hanging out, like touching dick tips and shit, dude.
Yeah, shooting off fireworks, that stuff.
Yeah, man, like shooting off fireworks, like.
Now, does this mean we're gonna have to get you a kitty grill for you cooking hamburgers?
No, dude, we've got like.
because you pretty much just completely briquetized a couple of those hamburgers. Don't you hate that when you go over to
I
somebody's
did.
house?
How shit-faced were you?
You go over to
Slash
somebody's
high.
house and they offer to cook food for you, and then they put the burgers on the grill and they turn them into something that you could write on the sidewalk with afterwards. I think Matt Bergman needs a kitty grill.
Yeah, I usually just throw it right in their face.
No, so
Don't
anyway,
do
here's
it
what happened with that. Okay, so yesterday it was like pouring down raining while I was cooking the burgers. So, I
It was
didn't
pouring down raining.
I didn't want to stand outside.
Yeah.
And then I was working on a new burger recipe.
Oh.
I had
that doesn't get an umbrella or anything like that. Doesn't ask anybody to hold an umbrella. Well, checks the stuff. 'cause
dude,
you got
actually, I
guests.
did ask you about that ahead of time, and then when the day comes, you weren't like, "Oh, Matt, I can help you cook these burgers," dude. You weren't even like up here right away, dude.
I was at the parade with
Dude,
my daughter.
you were like
Excuse
delaying.
me, my daughter was
you
in
were
the
delaying
parade.
things, dude. We had plans, dude.
I had plans too.
They had the
We had
parade
plans,
in the rain.
dude.
Yeah, they had the.
Dude, this is the kind of
yeah,
this
my
is the
daughter's
kind of
theater
shit,
group was
dude.
at the
This is,
parade
this is
and everything.
exactly why you're on the fucking kiddie bowl, dude.
Yeah, I think you need to. I think it's borne out that maybe I'll cook the burgers next time, and we'll let you. Maybe I'll even use your grill. Obviously, you don't seem to be mastered it sufficiently.
Oh no.
Oh, okay. So it's pouring down raining. So exactly what I did. It's not like I
any
was,
decent host would have been out there in the rain, making sure that his guests were well fed.
Okay,
but not
well,
Matt Bergman.
okay, well,
Oh,
fuck me
no.
for that. Oh, but okay, but this is what I did. Okay, so
Okay.
I usually figure I throw the burgers on, I check them in about 5-6 minutes, and then I guess I came out in like 7 or 8, and then it was a new burger recipe. Like, so I talked to Chad Wells, former chef at Alewife. He's got a new gig now.
Yeah.
But he I talked to him on I guess it was Saturday. Yeah, and I was like, dude, I got a new burger idea, man. I'm thinking about like a jalapeno popper burger. So I was thinking about dicing up jalapenos and mixing in some.
It was a good recipe.
Mixing in some cream cheese.
Yeah.
And then, but I was like, Chad, I want you to help me with it, And he was like, okay, yeah. What I would do, I would mix up the meat with some shredded cheddar cheese, and then anyway, so he comes over and we start hanging out at like 1 in the afternoon and shit. We're like drinking cherry bombs and beers. And I'm hitting the bowl. I'm not on the kiddie bowl though.
No, but he's obviously had too much to drink already. By the way.
Okay, I did. Fully admit this. Okay. So, anyways, so yeah, but these burgers were fucking bomb though when they weren't burnt. Like I cooked one today and I actually got it perfect, dude. I can maybe tell you about it.
Okay.
So so we mixed up the meat with this with.
Did Jill cook it?
No, it was me, dude.
Okay.
It was I cooked it perfectly. So we mixed up the meat with shredded sharp cheddar cheese, diced jalapenos, diced red onions, about 4 eggs, and some salt and pepper. And so that was and then after the burgers are rolled up into like half-pound balls, or maybe even a little more than a half pound, probably. Like they were pretty big. We would take like a ball of cream cheese and kind of like put it on the top, and then just kind of like put it into the center of the burger. You know, just like roll the burger around that ball of cream cheese. Dude, it's so bomb. It's such a good idea. Yeah. Oh, and then another thing we did, we ground up some dill potato chips, right? Mm-hmm. And we mixed that in with the meat as well. Mm. So yeah, you know.
So it was like a crunchy burger?
Well, you know, it
only on the outside where it was all burned up.
Yeah. Okay. Okay. So yeah, that first cooking yesterday was fucked, but then I cooked later again last night and I got it right. Curve. No, well, what happened was I think with all the extra cheese and stuff inside of the burger being cooked in, I think what it happened was it like kind of like dripped down and started like a grease fire.
So yeah, extra heated it.
Yeah, so I went outside and to flip them at first, I could tell like the first side it was pretty burnt. Yeah. And then so I flipped them again, and I came out there in like 2 or 3 minutes, and the other side was already burned. It was just like the grease fire was just really fucking bad. So yeah, it was. The cooking was bad, but the idea is good, and I'm gonna make more of those because they're bomb.
So what's next on our list of topics?
I don't know, dude. I was still talking about this burger. Okay, so we covered the kiddie bowl, which I didn't even put that on a list of topics.
And we covered the kiddie grill.
But the kiddie bowl is right here, dude. I got it packed up with some fresh green if you want some, dude.
I'm fine. Thank you.
Are you sure, dude?
Yeah,
I got it right here. No, you just let me know.
No,
I'm gonna remind you in like 5 or so minutes.
No,
okay,
no, you're fine.
I'll come back to this.
It's an intriguing idea, the kiddie bowl.
Yeah, dude. Okay, so what's the next on the list of topics?
The next
Mr.
topic
Mr. Jerbear
is a man prevented a mass shooting at a South Carolina nightclub by firing his own pistol that he was concealed carrying and shooting the offender in the leg.
Who I believe was shooting at him, or at least a group of people that he was standing with.
Yes, I believe so.
Hey, Ned, do you hear that? That's the sound of the big boy bubbler.
Yeah, I mean, one thing I noticed about this was it didn't make it to CNN, from what I could tell.
No, I mean...
I saw it on, like, you know... Where did I see it first? Like, Raw... Was it Raw Story or... No, Rare... Like a bunch of the more conservative or libertarian-leaning places.
We'll pick it up and decide to run it.
Yeah. I mean, it started off on some like local affiliate in South Carolina, like some kind of NBC local news channel.
Yeah, I think that's
and then a bunch of conservative / libertarian / rational thinking people picked it up.
Oh,
and yeah, I mean, obviously it's an N equals 1 scenario. You know, it's an anecdotal.
Right.
It's an anecdote, but it does show that there is some credibility to the idea that a more well-armed society is a safer society.
This is a big topic of debate. Actually, I spent a lot of time arguing with my cousin and her husband about stuff like this over this past weekend.
Yeah.
And you know, my basic take on this is that, well, you know, if there are lots of people that are armed out there, and if criminals can get a hold of guns relatively easily in this country, why should I not be able to own one? I mean, that just really doesn't even sound the tiniest bit fair.
Right.
And then we argued a lot about you know, the what was the intent of the Constitution's framers, when they drafted the thing, and we got a big argument about the Federalist Papers, and we went through and actually did a fair amount of homework on this, and either while I was there or previous to it, because this discussion started before I saw them actually in person, and there is a the Federalist Papers are not really a super good indicator of where that amendment comes from, because it skirts both sides of the issue. They seem to have wanted people there. They wanted to be able to call up an irregular militia, because they didn't. The United States didn't really have a terribly large standing army, and they wanted to be able to, if they needed to call up a large body of troops. So they kind of expected that there would be, you would need citizens in there participating.
And there were also the anti-federalists who didn't even believe that the country should even have a standing army.
Right.
And the phrase is actually the right of the people to keep and bear arms shall not be infringed.
It is pretty unambiguous.
You mean to tell me like these guys who wrote these like fucking great well written writings, we're gonna fuck up that line,
Yeah. Well, have you seen that video of like Cenk Uygur? And he's like talking about the Second Amendment, and he's like entirely focused. He just keeps going over the line to maintain a militia or whatever, however it's But it's like, dude, you're missing the entire first clause of that.
Right.
Of that amendment, which is
the right of the
people.
Wasn't it right after that though?
Yeah, it's right after that, but it's not like, if you read it, it's not like a modifier of that. It's like a whole separate.
It's the obvious thing. The right of the people, exactly.
The right of the people, and the people is us. I mean,
there's and then it's like after that, the people can do militias, but it's like what the whole point of this thing is the right of the people.
Right.
Well, but on the converse side too, I mean, we have accepted
the right of the peeps.
Does this mean not going to own a tank or a jet fighter? That's
right. Well, I mean, one could. I mean, if you just want to argue from the Second Amendment, I mean, one could say it doesn't say the right to bear any and all arms.
But if you take the logical extension of, when they wrote this, everybody has muzzle loading rifles that weren't terribly effective, and they weren't expecting that people were going to be owning AR-15s or like weapons. You say, well, that's obviously arms technology has progressed in the 300 years since that was put.
Yeah, but so has the printing press.
Right. Well, so that's what I'm saying. If you're trying to equate, the fact that weapons technology has progressed and that this is now the new normal, shouldn't I be able to own a tank?
I mean, I don't care if you have a tank. I mean, good luck getting around town in a tank.
Well, yeah. I mean,
hey, Jared, would you like to hit the big boy bubbler?
I'm good, man.
Okay, cool. Hey, Nettie Kitty Bowl is still over here for you, dude.
I'm fine.
I'm trying to detox, man.
Just let me know, dude. Detox from what? Pork Fest? Because that was like over a week ago, dude.
No, this weekend.
Oh, so what were you doing this weekend, dude?
I went up to Philly last night, or 2 nights ago.
Tell me about it, dude.
Huh?
Tell me about it, dude.
It was pretty awesome.
What do you like better, like Philly or New York?
I don't know, man. I like Philly a lot.
Hey, Philly's nuts.
Philly's nuts.
So what are we doing in Philly, dude?
Just hanging out, drinking, maxing, relaxing, cooling, shooting some b-ball outside of the school.
Were there any like fun stories, dude?
Nothing really worth telling. Some fun moments.
So
some drunken behaviors.
Yesterday in I believe it was Illinois, there was a dude who he burnt a flag.
Yeah, he posted pictures of himself.
He posted a picture of himself burning a flag. Just in protest of, he was saying he's not proud to be an American, and I guess people reported him to the police, and the police came and arrested him. They have since then let him go, but he did get arrested and thrown into a cage.
No, I think their their cover story for that was that they were taking him into custody for his own protection because they were afraid that people were gonna injure him when they found out who he was, and so that people were making threatening remarks also on the same social media sites. So that was at least their cover story. Is that
I mean, dude, they arrest
arresting
people.
him for his
They
own
arrest
good.
people for smoking joints all the time for their own protection, right?
Yeah, but it's it's constitutionally protected speech. I mean, there was a court case. I don't remember when, but the president was set that yeah, I mean, you're allowed to burn the flag. As a, I mean, for whatever reason, but it counts as an expression.
See, I'd read that it was actually illegal in Illinois. Maybe
But it was illegal in Illinois.
Yeah,
But
like,
federally, it's
under state law?
Yeah, under state law, there was like some old law in the books
state is Ned. You should know this.
that said that it was illegal to burn a flag in Illinois. But federally, it's legal to burn a flag. So
I guess they just didn't call the FBI, because if they called the FBI, you'd have probably gotten off.
yeah, and then I guess they just figured it wasn't worth pursuing, an actual case over because it probably wouldn't stick. But it's just kind of funny. It's like people. I love how people that. I love the term flaggots. Have you heard this?
No.
Oh yeah, I used it
You
yesterday.
used to have a
actually.
roommate who
Yeah.
was a flaggot.
Yeah.
Oh yeah.
Yeah, Ned. How long ago was that, dude?
That was when you were over at your.
Why was he a
your old
flag-
house.
How long ago was that, Ned? What do you think? That was like 12 years ago or something?
No, it wasn't that long.
No, it definitely was, dude. There's no way it wasn't. Because I moved into that house when I was like 23, and I'm 36 now. And that guy couldn't have lived there for more than a year, I'm thinking.
I don't even recall what his name was, to be honest with you.
Yeah, his name was... Anyway, we don't want to use people's names on the air. But
Yeah.
But yeah, so that's the point, man. So that was like fucking like 12 years ago at least, dude. So, and then I've been smoking weed with you for at least that long. And dude, throughout this whole time, I've complained about you charring...
There's never been a mention of it up until
Well, see,
now.
that's why I'm
No,
saying, look,
I
man.
have. I've
look,
definitely complained about it, dude.
Bergman, the fair thing to do is to put him on a probationary period.
After he proves himself with the kiddie bowl. After he proves himself with the kiddie bowl.
What?
Yeah, I'm all about that,
How
dude.
I humiliate myself by smoking out of the kiddie bowl?
No, you have to prove yourself with the kiddie bowl, dude. So what you
There's
have to
nothing
do...
humiliating about it.
So what you have to do is after you hit out of the kiddie bowl, you have to
You have to
come back
ride with
me.
training wheels before you can ride the big bike.
Exactly, dude. Yay, Jared. Yay, dog. Dude, I think I've been very patient, dude. Because this is like fucking like 12 years. After 12 years, dude, I'm finally just putting my foot down here, dude.
So wait,
You know?
I wanna understand why this guy was a flaggot.
Oh, because he would wear like an American flag bandana.
And an American flag T-shirt at the same
And
time.
if you said anything negative about it, he would get all America on you, or what?
No, I mean honestly, he wasn't like that. He wasn't like that about it.
I think he was just fashion challenged.
No, I think the guy was like a pretty rebellious dude and stuff. But I mean, and he wasn't. I wouldn't say he was a total flaggot. But I don't know. When he wore the bandana, I like to call him that just because I thought it was funny.
Yeah.
So, but yeah, he
But
wasn't.
it's more-
He
but it's
wasn't. He
more-
wasn't like redneck America or whatever.
Right, and it's more just the people who like hold it as this like sacred. I mean, look, it can represent whatever whatever you want to, whatever you want it to represent to you is fine, but you have to understand that to certain people it represents something differently, and so and I mean the same thing can apply to the Confederate flag. To some people it represents slavery and oppression. To other people it represents states' rights.
Or the Dukes of Hazzard.
Or the Dukes of Hazzard.
Taking the opposite turn to that, I mean, let's go back a little bit here. Is it then equally what justifiable? With the whole Charlie Hebdo thing and that mass shooting. Are people who have their religion, completely insulted in their eyes by people who are doing it to be insulting because they know it insults them. Is that
I mean, if you want to get insulted, that's fine, but you can't go murder people because you're insulted. I mean, if you want to get offended by the flag being burnt, I mean, that's, you're right. You can feel whatever you want to feel, but don't go around threatening people. Don't throw them in jail. Don't, I mean, you can say like, "Oh, you're being an asshole," fine, but it's just this like undue reverence to just like this physical object.
Well, it's a very tribal instinct, I think, in people.
Yeah. I mean, it's tribal. It's tribalism, nationalism.
It's kind of cultish.
It's religion.
And, to like a libertarian or like an individualist, as most libertarians are, it's just kind of dumb.
Yeah.
Yeah.
I mean, it's like if someone was burning like the fucking like a voluntarism flag, like it would say something to me about their opinion about voluntarism, but.
Yeah, I wouldn't want to like incite violence on them.
Yeah, I mean, I'd just be like, well,
I wouldn't be sending them threats of rape.
Right.
I would not be threatening to R them, status Ned.
Yeah. But do you think there is a point at which, granted the flag is just is a symbol, but it does symbolize.
Well, yeah, and
something.
he was using it.
It symbolizes different things to different people. Yeah.
Well, even if but I mean, obviously he understood that it does symbolize. The ideas of America or whatever, and he was burning it in protest of America. But that's like I said,
so he understood the symbolism.
He understood the symbolism, but he didn't share the same reverence for it that other people did because he didn't respect what it has come to stand for in his eyes, which was. I think he said something. It was stood for like racism. It was some like SJW kind of shit.
Yeah, it was a big laundry list of.
And I think he was a gay guy too, and it was like
one of you people.
Yeah, what me people? And he was protesting the way that gays are treated or whatever.
No, it was gays, minorities. It was
right.
People. It was the pretty
right.
much the
and
standard.
I mean, if you can, like I said, you can feel free to disagree with him on that, but to threaten him or
yeah, I mean,
that's just totally ridiculous.
Like as long as it's his flag that he purchased, paid for, or somebody gave to him, it's his freedom of speech.
Yeah. Yeah, so I think that's pretty clear.
I think so too, dude.
Yeah. Nice.
How about you, status Ned?
Well, I mean, obviously the Supreme Court has decided that, in fact, it is protected under the Constitution. So I would have to say that he was within his rights to have done it. Now, how the state law conflicts with federal jurisdiction, I'm not entirely clear on.
Yeah, and that does kind of call into question, because typically as libertarians we are more for giving more power. Well, obviously no power to government, but if you're going to have government, more power to the states. But this is one case where that kind of backfires on you because if that law gets upheld,
then will other states?
Well, not necessarily other states, but it's a miscarriage of justice in my eyes if that gets upheld. But
well, so
the state.
Does the federal government then have does it have higher authority over state law then? I mean, if they were to take him to court, assuming they take him to court, can they try him under state law and have it thrown out under federal law? How does that work? Who really has the final say? And is it better? Is that maybe a good thing about having the Constitution and having a more federalist society so that you don't have things like that going on?
Well, yeah, I mean, ideally it would kind of work like a check and balance system where it'd be nice if just
but if
the federal law just like enshrined the Constitution or whatever, and then if states went against the Constitution, those laws would just be overridden.
That's kind of how it does work now.
Right, but I mean that law is still in the books though. I mean it didn't get overwritten.
Right. Well, it probably because no one thought to exercise it.
You have laws like drug laws where, in California it's legal, medical marijuana is legal, but federally it's not, and so the feds can come in and raid medical marijuana places.
But would they come and let him out of jail?
Would they come let him out of jail?
Yeah, if he was managed to be tried and convicted, would that be an acceptable thing for them to say no, you can't do that? You have to let him go.
Like by law, is it acceptable or?
Well, no, just the whole idea that you have a superseding authority. Yes, it's on the books for like you. In this case, where you have that dichotomy, where you have, it's legal under the state law, but the feds can still bust you for it. You know, but in this case, if he was tried and convicted and sentenced, theoretically, could federal authorities come spring him?
I don't know if legally they can, but should they? Yeah, I mean.
So it's acceptable in some issues and not in
your
others.
Constitutional rights, insofar as they align with like natural rights, should be protected. I mean, I don't think any government has a right to take that right away from either the right of freedom of expression away from you.
Right,
so
but in this case, though, since it's under, it's not unconstitutional to speak in that, in that manner, then the federal authority does supersede the state's authority.
I would think so. Yeah.
Yeah. So in that case, it's a good thing, but in the case of pot laws in Colorado, it's not a good thing.
Right. Yeah, it's a double-edged sword. So, moving on, Gary Johnson was recently on the Bill Maher program. I think you caught that, Matt?
Yes, I did catch that, dude. What were you watching when that was on? Fucking X Hamster?
Probably.
Okay. So, anyways, Gary Johnson was on Real Time with Bill Maher, and I'd say there were some disappointing moments. Okay, like I think to say the least.
Was it as bad as the town hall?
I don't know. I mean, it was its very own kind of bad. Like at one point, like there was this like status dude on the show that asked him some like libertarian straw man question, and then Gary Johnson's response was, he looked puzzled and he's like, "You're going above my head here." And it's like, you can't be a presidential candidate and say that somebody's going above your head.
Do you remember the specifics at all?
It was just one of those things. Well,
like who's going to build the roads?
Yeah, exactly. One of those strawman questions. Like, it's one of those questions. Like, how would society be designed in a free society? And it's one of those things that you really can't answer. But because I mean,
well, it's not that you can't answer it. It's just how is that relevant at all to a presidency?
Well, and then furthermore, it'll probably take a few minutes to answer it.
Oh yeah.
And
it'd all be hypothetical.
To give a very good answer, but at the same time, I don't really think you can give an answer. If you could give an answer, if somebody could give an answer, you could just centrally plan society, and we wouldn't even need to have this discussion. So
the other good way to answer this question,
there isn't the best answer.
Yeah, well, I think the best answer for those questions is just to point out the way that it's currently done, and then saying, do you think that we need force to accomplish this? Do you think that roads can't exist without? You turn the question around on the guy. Do you think roads can't exist without force?
Or do you think the implied threat of force?
Yeah, or the threat of force. Mm-hmm. That's what I do in those scenarios, because then you get into these like hypothetical situations where it's like, well, you could have tolls. Well, what if the tolls are too high? What if there's this? Or what if there's that? And you're never gonna solve it, because I mean, if it could, like you said, if it could be centrally planned, it would.
Well, and this is a presidential candidate, and his response was, I don't get what you're saying. You're going over my head.
Yeah, that's not a good answer.
Yeah, it's like the worst answer you could give in that spot. I mean, it's like
I think Johnson's really trying really hard to.
I was wondering if Johnson was
light.
I was wondering if Johnson was on the edibles that night, man.
Yeah,
like I don't know, it was like pretty bad. But I mean,
pretty red.
I gotta say, dude, I could be blazed out of my mind, and I could answer these questions better than Johnson. Like, I don't know what the fuck's going on. Like, it seems like he was much sharper in the '90s. Like the older videos that I've seen of him, I just feel like he did a much better job. I don't know. This shit's got to get in gear. It's like Bill Weld's a better speaker, but he's not really a libertarian. I still support the ticket. I still think they're like a million times better than Trump and Hillary. Yeah. I still think that would be a giant step in the right direction, but at the same time, it's like he's just not doing the best job. He's a pretty horrible speaker.
I thought his new campaign ad is really good.
Yeah, his new campaign ad was awesome. It was like one of the coolest presidential ads I've ever seen. Probably the coolest, actually.
And there's very little that you couldn't agree with when you watch it just on the face of it. I mean, granted, it's a 30-second jingo campaign ad.
Yeah.
But there's not a single thing. Most people, I think, just watching it, wouldn't find anything they could disagree with.
Yeah.
Right.
Mm-hmm. I agree. I think he did well on that. I still give the guy props. I still share Gary Johnson 2016 stuff. I'm mostly just saying all this stuff. I say it to like libertarians, but I don't like post it on public on Facebook.
That's what I want to know. Is I want to hear.
I kind of want to like.
I want to hear an outsider's perspective.
I am
on
behind the
this
campaign. I just don't think the campaign's being run as well as it could be.
But here's my thing though. What was the non-libertarian perspective on the town hall? What was the non-libertarian perspective on the Bill Maher show? Because we're obviously going to be super critical because we live and breathe this shit.
Yeah.
But the casual person that doesn't like Trump and doesn't like Hillary, and they're like, oh, I'll check out this Gary Johnson guy, and they sit down and they watch that town hall. Are they thinking oh, that was totally weak, or are they thinking oh, they answered some of those questions pretty good? I agree with some of the things they're saying.
From my personal perspective, I think one of the things that I find about Gary Johnson's campaign is it's maybe a little too tongue in cheek for some people. I don't know if he's trying to play to the younger crowd.
What is tongue in cheek? What do you mean by tongue in cheek?
Well, it's a little goofy. He cracks jokes. Well,
I wouldn't say tongue in cheek is goofy.
Right. But he tried.
I don't think he's tongue in cheek enough.
Well, I mean, come on. I think a lot of people. I think a lot of people, and I've thought
I
this
think
from the beginning.
that
the whole touch the Johnson thing is that's
Feel the Johnson.
Feel the Johnson.
Feel the Johnson.
Touch the Johnson.
Dude, that should be the new hashtag to make Tom Mahan shit himself.
Touch the Johnson. Reach out and touch the Johnson. Touched by a Johnson.
Touched by a Johnson. That's awesome, dude. Oh man, shit. How much longer is Tom Mann gonna be my friend, dude?
Probably not much longer.
I don't know.
I saw you posted a comment on his thing today about
He said something like hardball tonight with Chris Matthews. Anyone?
And you were like, nah, man, or something.
And I just commented, I don't usually.
Yeah. So wait, is he going to be on hardball? Is that
what? I guess Gary Johnson's going to be on there, but he didn't say Gary Johnson was going to be on there, so that's why I made that comment. I thought it would be kind of funny.
Yeah.
So
we'll see how that goes.
Yes, we will. Hopefully, better than Bill Maher.
Yeah, I just would like to talk to somebody that isn't Ned, because Ned hangs out with us too much, so he already knows what we're thinking. Just someone who just checked it out. I just want to, because that's kind of, that would be this part of the strategy, would be to just appeal to those people who are tuning in and they just want to hear what he has to say, and it's not necessarily, they're not judging it on the libertarian rubric, they're judging it on their own personal values.
Well, that's why I think his campaign ad's genius.
Yeah. Yeah, the campaign definitely nails
he
that.
He comes off as very likable.
Yeah.
Yeah. He does. I think that's with his joking too. I think that makes him come off as likable.
I heard he said something about the. Did he say something about Hillary and the emails or something that was really disconcerting?
I'm not sure about that. I did not hear anything about that. So.
Yeah, I had heard. I don't know. I don't want to talk about it if I can't verify it.
No, speculate some more, please.
I'm just gonna speculate my dick off, my Johnson off.
Touched by a Johnson.
Yeah, so. All right, moving on. So we have secession written down here.
There's been an effort by the Texas GOP to force a discussion of Texas seceding from the United States on the floor of the Maine Republican Convention. It has. They were looking like they were going to do it. Now it looks like they're not going to do it. It's not going to be allowed as a topic of discussion.
Really?
Although there are a lot of people, that are really rather into it. Of course, under, the way the federal government interprets the Constitution is that states unilaterally don't have the right to secede from the Union. You can't just say, I quit. Even if everybody in your state votes for it, it has to be, everybody else has to say, okay, you can go. Because otherwise, that's not considered to be legal. So they're trying to force the topic of conversation because there's a large secessionist movement, mostly in the on the Republican side of the political establishment, for Texas to secede.
Isn't it the same thing though? Seceding and succeeding?
No. Well, it depends on your perspective, I suppose. If you are a secessionist, and if you do manage to secede, that's
how do
success.
you feel about the secessionism status, Ned?
Well, I think it.
So would you call it secessionism?
Yes.
Yes. Well, I mean, you've seen it with the whole Brexit thing, and I think that's part of the popular zeitgeist right now is that the dissatisfaction with globalism and larger extra governmental or bodies controlling things that go on in your locality.
Yeah, I mean, what's so wrong with cutting off the fat of government? And then, just like, okay, let's get this pesky federal government off our back. Texas is big enough. We got this under control. What's so wrong with that status, Ned?
Well, the one thing that I could see wrong with it, or maybe wrong's not the word, but not advantageous to it, is that what eventually this will lead to is balkanism. Again, the world. I think the pendulum was swinging away from the balkanization of the world and towards having things be under a more a new world order, if you will. And I think what you're seeing now is a lot of pushback against that. Now, in terms of
which I think is cool, but go ahead.
Right. Well, then you have to one of the things that Texas would find out very shortly, if they seceded from the United States, would be they do have to do everything themselves, including a lot of things that they haven't been doing for themselves lately. Obviously, they'd have to have the Texas Army. They would have to have they'd have to have their own currency. Theoretically speaking, here, Texas dollars instead of U.S. dollars or whatever they wanted to call them.
Right.
And there's probably a whole laundry list of stuff that I'm not even thinking of right now that they would have to start doing now. They have to have embassies, in all the surrounding countries all over the world. Because the state of Texas does have the same GDP as I think all of Canada. So they would have to negotiate all these deals, trade deals, border security deals, all on their own for their own locality, and without having the benefit of the federal government to do something like that for them, or having larger entities.
Well, I mean, if they want to do that, shouldn't that be up to them?
Well, at the same time, too, is it fair to the rest of the states in the union to say that to let go a huge portion of of a state that's in the union right now?
Well, it's not their state, dude.
Huh?
It's not their state.
Well, is it fair to the other people inside the rest of the states inside of the country? Which,
dude, what do they have to do with Texas, dude?
Well, hear me out. Hear me out. That now enjoy. You don't have to show a passport when you go across the border into Texas. You just go. You don't have to.
Why do we have to have passports anyways?
Dude, who's to say Texans are going to be such faggots about it, dude? Who's to say Texas isn't going to be like, okay, you can just drive through our border. You can treat our border just like any other state.
Now, do you honestly think that part of the whole secessionist movement in Texas isn't really caused by the federal government's lack of security on their border? Don't you think they would want to close their border with Mexico?
That's one border, though.
Dude, I have no idea. I have no idea, but that's up to Texas, dude.
Yeah, I think Bergen was, or you. I thought you were talking more about like other American citizens.
Other American. Let's forget.
No, but if they feel like they're being threatened by illegal immigration from Mexico, then they can build a border. But for the rest of them, the other three sides of the country or whatever,
right?
Yeah, they could. If you're an American, they'll come on in,
or maybe not.
Or maybe not. It's up to them, but it's whatever they decide they want to do.
Right. So
yeah, dude. I think it's kind of cultish. Like if somebody wants to leave and you don't let them leave, and then you go after them and you tell them that they can't, dude.
Yeah.
That's kind of sick, dude. It's like
You call them unpatriotic?
Yeah, it's like if you do that to your girlfriend or whatever, it's fucking, it's like a crime or something, right?
Yeah.
It's
And
like
anybody that
like in any other relationship, it would be a horrible thing to do. But when a state wants to secede from America, it's cool to go after them.
Well,
when they just want to leave.
Do they have to give the federal government back all its stuff? Have you? I was reading actually before the podcast. I was reading a
what
little
stuff does the federal government really give them? I mean, really, dude, because the
army bases, all kinds of weaponry.
Okay. Well,
help building ports, things. It's all kinds of stuff. Do they have to give it all back?
I don't think there's any argument. I think the federal bases and shit. I would assume, the government would have to get out of there, but they could take their shit with them. I would assume something like that. But, I mean, who knows, man? I'm not drawing up the fucking deal here, dude. But my point is, the federal government doesn't give anybody anything that it doesn't first take from somebody else, which it no doubt took from the people from Texas.
So you're saying at least the footprint of the base was
taken look, if the federal government wants to take back whatever it gave to Texas, then they should also give back to the Texans what they took in the first place.
Yeah, dude. There's got to be some sort of fair deal here, dude.
Right. But I mean,
this is all. I mean, we're getting away from the point, which is
how do you devolve the system away from its current what everybody considers to be overreach?
I don't even care about how. It's just, do you have the right to leave an organization or a group of people to leave a larger organization without the threat of violence or whatever? And ultimately, that's what it comes down to. If people want to decide, we don't want to continue to pay money to this government or have money stolen from us by this government, we just want to do our own thing and manage our own shit. I mean, aside from all the repercussions, which, yeah, of course there's going to be repercussions, and who knows, they might fail. It might become a failed state. But it's still within their rights to decide that they don't want to be a part of something else.
But do you want a failed state on your border?
No, I mean, I don't want a failed state, but I don't want a state either, so... I mean, I guess I do want a failed state. I want all the states to fail.
Well, I think...
But, I don't want, I don't want, a fucking Somalia to show up, but that's kind of besides the point, and that's just... You're trying to predict the future. The point of the matter is,
honestly, man. I don't think Somalia would show up.
No, I don't think it would. I mean, it's a completely different. Culture.
Okay. So we'll just play we'll play a scenario. Say Mexico decides to take Texas because now Texas is no longer a part of America. America's going to grab Texas's back. America's their neighbor at least at this point. And we've got family members there. There would still be. So what I'm saying is Texas seceding isn't the end of the world.
Well, I mean, obviously changes, and we're seeing that now with Britain leaving the European Union. Although technically that's a non-binding resolution, and they don't actually leave the EU until they invoke Article 50 of the EU Charter, which says that we're really going to do this. The vote that they took in England is not a binding vote. It has no authority over the as far as the EU is concerned. It's whether or not the British government, recognizes this vote and says, okay, now we're going to invoke Article 50 and formally leave. Now there doesn't seem to be much threat of violence there, right? Which is, but they're a much looser. They're a much looser confederation than the United
EU.
States.
Does the EU have a standing army?
No, it does not.
No,
right. So it can't. Germany can't invade Britain because they're leaving the EU.
Yeah. I mean, it's certainly a different situation in some regards, but if you just remove all the abstractions of this government and this oversight committee or this arrangement of governments, I mean, it's just people deciding that they want to opt out of certain relationships and obligations, which I think everyone should have the right to do. And I mean, it has to start from somewhere. unfortunately, I can't just secede from the United States on my own.
Right, but you know,
without
at what point? At what
going
point
to
does?
live in
At what
international
point
waters.
does you know, if Texas wants to secede, what are Texas's obligations to the rest of the states in the United States? Do they have obligation? I mean, you can't have one without the other. You know what I mean?
What would their obligation be? What do you
Well,
mean?
I don't know. Like I said, they would.
I mean,
be
if they
part-
owe money, like if they
they-
owe money to a state or something,
and they would be
I don't know if
assuming that they did secede, you'd have to negotiate, you know, trade deals. It wouldn't be free flow of trade.
Well,
back
but
and
why do you
forth.
need to negotiate trade
Yeah,
deals?
why do you need to?
Why can't you just have free and open trade? Like
Why?
why deals? See, that I was reading something earlier. It was like the idea of a trade deal is like the opposite.
I
of
think
free
you're
trade.
blowing Statusnet's mind right now.
Like you shouldn't have to negotiate like tariffs and shit.
Well, you negotiate tariffs and stuff like that,
But there
because
shouldn't be tariffs.
It's a, you know, it's a protectionist thing as far as an
what I'm
individual
saying.
state is concerned.
I don't think it would be in the interest of Texas or the rest of the United States to impose any sort of tariffs or
On
any
one or
restrictions
the
on
other.
trade.
Well, then
Yeah.
what do you hope to achieve by seceding?
You'd probably just
You
want
just
the
don't-
pesky federal government off
Yeah,
your
you
back.
don't have to follow any of the shit that the federal government wants. So if Texas decides they want to legalize weed, the federal government can't just fucking roll in with their tanks and do something about it because they're not part of the union anymore. I mean, if they did, it'd be an act of war.
Right.
But yeah, I mean, that's the whole point. Is so we don't have to listen to the federal government anymore. We don't have to. We don't have to listen to the federal government, and we don't have to do.
Well, then
We don't have to do NAFTA. We don't have to do TPP.
Well,
we don't have to do any
but
of
then
that
the federal
shit.
government has no obligation to Texas anymore.
Yeah, I mean, if the United States wants to like completely cut off, like pull a Cuba on Texas, they can. It just wouldn't be in their best interest because, I mean, Texas is a pretty heavily populated area. I'm not sure what their imports or what their exports are. I imagine there's something good going on there. I'm not too read up on that. But
Well, no,
whatever it is, I mean, I'm sure the United States doesn't want to lose that. But yeah, like I don't know exactly what would happen. It's just the idea of it. I think is cool, and I would like to see other. I'm hoping for other countries in the EU to leave. I'm hoping there's a Frexit and.
I can't believe Greece didn't turn right around and start.
Well, Greece is completely
Really,
dependent
dude?
on the system.
Exactly, yeah, dude. Why the fuck are Greece leaving, dude?
They threatened secession several
Dude, they're
times.
mooching high on the status hog status, Ned.
Yeah, I mean they don't produce anything there. I mean,
Right.
what would they
Yeah,
do?
dude. They get complimentary hits at the kiddie bowl.
All they have is euros. All they have is euros.
Yep.
Euros and feta cheese
And olives.
and Greek yogurt.
Yeah.
I'll bet that doesn't even come from Greece. So that's the end of the list.
Wow, dude. Okay.
Cool.
Wow. So soon. So soon. Fun time, guys.
All right.
Fun
So-
times.
Until next time, live free.
Statism's footprint is the blood that is shed. Drenching the flags of the tax bombs in red. Poisons by a few at the expense of the many. Sold to the gods in a death machine. You can't justify killing by economic gain. For God, country, and democracy. You can put freedom at gunpoint in a foreign land. You support the troops, then bring them home. I believe that you will do the best for you. And I believe that we have the power, I hate the state, and I know I'm a slave. We can make the break the power. Society owes individuals nothing more than non-interference with natural rights. Once a virtuous person fully comprehends the non-aggression principle, the violence of the state becomes obsolete.